Oh, son of a gun. You thought I was going to say son of a bitch, didn't you?
Greetings. I'm E. Adam Thomas, otherwise known as the biggest geek in Phoenix. As if you couldn't tell. I would like to make a statement about those who have stated that they hate the new Star Trek film. Now, keep in mind, everybody, no matter who they are, is entitled to their opinion. However correct or incorrect that opinion may be. Usually mine is perfectly correct. But one of the big things that I've heard a lot of about people who didn't like the film is that the physics of the film are spurless at best and absolutely outlandish. Well, if you're going to decry the new movie, Star Trek, produced by J.J. Abrams, on the basis of its physics, let's see, Doomsday Machine, Nexus, oh, let's see, the Briar Patch, that's a good one, the giant amoeba that ate the Valiant, let's see, oh, big energy field around the galaxy that turned Gary Mitchell into a god, and then he went off to 2001: A Space Odyssey and got killed by Hal. Oh gosh, I could keep going on and on forever, but there's so many. The Genesis device, perfect example. There's something that'll happen soon. Right. To decry the new Star Trek movie because of its physics? If you hate this movie because of the physics, you hate Star Trek. Period. End of report. All of the physics in Star Trek, with the exception of a few minor instances, are completely fantastical. Fantastic. Fantasy. Fantasy. Fiction. Oh my God! I think I've stumbled onto something. It's not supposed to be real! Why are people getting all upset about the physics of Star Trek? It's a goddamn TV show! Get a life! I know, I'm one to talk, but still, you can't get all bunged up about Star Trek's physics unless you also want to explore the physics of 2001, Doctor Who, Battlestar Galactica, The $6 Million Man, CSI, CSI New York, CSI Miami. It appears, Frank, we have a dead Klingon. NCIS, and pretty much any other series that relies on anything scientific, psychological, intellectual, or anything of a book as an impetus for its storytelling. But that's just it. That's what it is. Whether it's Star Trek or Ellery Queen, Doctor Who or Sherlock Holmes, it's storytelling. It's drama. It's characters. It's love. It's hate. It's pathos. It's adventure. It's pain. It's explosions. You want to know what my big problem with Star Trek has been? The fact that the story writing in the last 8 films, pretty much since Wrath of Khan, has gotten progressively more and more stolid, dry, and uninteresting. They tried to break free of that with Nemesis, but they were still working with the same people who had been writing, acting, and producing the series. The only real difference was the director. And he was already up against the wall to make sure he stayed within the canon. Mind you, I could do a whole other video about all the episode inconsistencies, like Data not having a brother, but also having 2 brothers, but not really having any brothers, but never mind. We'll go into that some other time. The fact of the matter is that physics is the stupidest thing to hate this movie for. Personally, I think this film was the shot in the ass the Star Trek franchise finally and so desperately needed. Star Trek hasn't been this exciting and this cool since the last episode of the original series. And this is coming from somebody who loves The Next Generation, who liked Voyager, who tolerated Deep Space Nine and hated Enterprise. I'm sorry, I will go on record as saying Enterprise sucked ass. With the exception of the Mirror Universe episode towards the end of the last season, there was not a single episode of Enterprise that was watchable, much less enjoyable. Anyway, physics is just not a valid way to evaluate a film like this. It's a summer blockbuster. It's action, it's adventure, it's thrills. And this is why all the other Star Trek movies since Star Trek 3 have come out around Christmas. Because they weren't all that adventurous, they weren't all that action-oriented, and with the exception of Star Trek 4, which wasn't really intended to be so, they were failures in what they were trying to achieve. The only ones that came close after Wrath of Khan were Star Trek 6 and Star Trek First Contact. They were close. No cigar, but they were close. The rest, forget it! They were not what we want from Star Trek, which is a good action-oriented story. Good, compelling characters and relationships between those characters that make sense to us. Not as scientists, but as human beings and as drama viewers. So the next time you're ready to decry Star Trek because the physics are all wrong, why don't you try commissioning Stephen Hawking to write a script? I'm sure that'll be a big seller.
Can't.
Don't call me that. Good night!